君、ダンベルズは何キロもっと持っとる。もっともっと好きですか? Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies. I've been watching a little bit of anime, as you may be able to tell, and I've just been enjoying life, fellas. What can I say? I have played one match of War Thunder in the past 2 days, and gosh, I feel so healthy. But actually, I've really been enjoying the game, and I think I'm starting to put this this diversion into perspective. And I gotta say, the more I balance my life, the more I enjoy War Thunder. I worked out a lot today. And we're going to talk about what CptJackSparr0w is doing here. He's been playing the energy fighting game in his BF-109. I don't know, is that a G14? It's flying like a G6, flying high like a G6. It may be boom and zoom, but it rides like a G6. Anyway, he is energy fighting here, doing these nice vertical maneuvers against an F4U who's decided to trade all of his altitude for a chance to get into the pin the Menengeschoss on the Dunke, and that's exactly what happens. How do you fight against Germans in their BF-109s at this tier in an F4U? Keep your altitude, keep your speed, and don't spiral slowly down to the ground and give them all the advantages. At least, that's what you want to go for. Now, what I haven't really mentioned yet is how that AD4 and other ground attackers like him have drained the vast majority of the victory points from CptJack's team fairly early into the match. Well, we're looking at 10 minutes in before CptJack is able to finish making his move on his second target, picking up the kill in the process. And that is a very interesting thing, because you'll notice CptJack is almost out of ground targets on his side with an enemy B-17 in the air. Now, under the circumstances that they find themselves now, even with an AU-1 on the field, fully capable of taking down medium tanks and light pillboxes with his 20 mils. This is a difficult position for the American team. They can't quite win by score just by hitting ground targets in the version of War Thunder that we're looking at right now, which is an old version. And yet, now there are more ground targets, to the point that before you would have to wipe out all of the ground targets, the flashing ones, on some maps in order to achieve victory on tickets. This is no longer the case. So, this American team, in the current update of War Thunder, may have already won the match by ground strike by this point in the match, and that is a very exciting concept, because this team with attackers and bombers working at low altitude that had less high altitude fighters to face these Germans at 7K where the battle started off for the high altitude fighters may have had a different resolution in today's meta, and that makes me a happy panda, because I loves me some ground attack. I love my bombers and attackers, and it seems like the meta is finally shifting more in the favor of bombers and attackers, taking away the ability of bombers to destroy the enemy airfield, but trading it for the ability of bombers and attackers to cause more cumulative ticket damage to the enemy team, forcing enemy fighters to split their attention between the high altitude air superiority battle and what is going on below for the first 7 to 8 minutes of a match, where attackers and bombers can deal the most damage. Anyway, CptJack flying nicely and picking up some kills in the process, as AmFam's very own Jane J. Sargent, now known as Tiny Polska, I think. This is a problem with people changing names. Like, I'm bad enough with names already. I really wish I was better with names, because I I love people, I care about people, and that is my blessing and my curse. And I fully embrace it because I was first loved, and now I get to return the favor. I was thinking recently about all the times that my grandma has come through for me. Both of my grandmas has been just very, very positive in my life. My grandma on my mom's side, very wise woman. I've taken a lot of cues from her and really, really benefited. And she's been such a pillar of stability and grace in our family. It's been so good to have her around. And my other grandma is the food is love grandma. And if you ever come over to my house, you'll learn where I got my lessons in hospitality from. And it's so great to see my little 1.5-year-old daughter, Zoe, known as Chonky, because she's chonky, at least for now, has already, just on her own, picked up the tradition of food is love. And even from a very early age, whenever I tried to feed her something, I could feed her a little bit, and then she'd want to grab some and feed Daddy in return. And I bought some chicken strips from the local gas and shop, and they're usually not super fresh on account of the whole heat tray thing we have going on here in all of the quick eats places. But they were just coming out of the broiler when I showed up, and man, that was some tasty chicken stripping on my plate that day, today. And I picked those up after mowing, right before. No, it was after, sorry, I get a little confused. I mowed my own lawn and an apartment complex today with a manual push collator style mower, and it was just as fun as I remember it being. It's great cardio workout, a little bit of legs and back, so there we go. Sido Chesto and all that. Anyway, I just watched like a few minutes of the first episode of I think the English translation is How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, and it looks like a good time. We'll see. It just looks like a cutesy, sort of fun, pretty girls doing pretty girl stuff kind of anime. And the fact that it's got health and strength training worked into it, I think that's a nice twist, because God knows there's enough flabby, out of shape people, of whom I count myself. And my secret has been, and this is coming from someone, again, who used to live in the gym. I'm not trying to brag when I say that I was in fantastic shape. I was in pretty close to peak physical condition within reason, because I pretty much lived in the gym. My house was full of mold all the time during the winter and most of the rest of the year as well, because it was right on the ocean, and there was no insulation in the whole house, and it was kind of cheaply made stick-built house, and that just meant that it was always damp, it was always dank. It was like living in a sailboat, okay? And there was mold on everything all the time, and I'm allergic to mold. So I would develop a permanent, cough and just allergies all the time, and it would flare up whenever I was in my own house. So here we go. I skipped the entire replay. Don't worry, there will be plenty more Polska on the channel. I've got a story to tell. BoronBoride, if you will. Bobo! Now in arcade, but also in the IS2. Original gangster derp gun of War Thunder. A truly heavy tank, a little light on the cheeks, which is kind of hilarious for how ridiculously armored the rest of this tank is. Tragic if you play it yourself. And yet, in arcade, you can take your shot, blow somebody all the way to... What? What? Well, I mean, blow anyone other than a T-34 all the way to Kingdom Come, and then pop behind a rock and wait for yourself to reload. And that's exactly the strategy we're going to see out of, I hope he doesn't mind if I call him Bobo, BoronBoride today, as I finish my story. So, I used to live in the gym because my house was a toxic waste zone, a biohazard if you will, and I literally lived in the gym. I was going to college, in fact I was taking like one class in college, which gave me a free gym membership to the, oh geez, what's it called? The sports center, I guess, but it was a nice gym. Just, cool, you get to work on the strength training machines and look at some pretty girls while you're there, and practice martial arts, play some racquetball, and all of that just for the cost of a 1-credit PE class. It really is cheaper than a gym membership and comes with a free class, so how could you say no? It's a great service provided by the local community college that happened to be just about 2 miles from where I was living, so quick bike ride and I'm there. I used to be able to just go and not stop. I used to be able to bike for 25, 30 miles. I wouldn't say no sweat, but it pretty much evaporated as fast as I produced it, except in the secluded areas that didn't get the airflow that the rest of my body got. Maybe I should have gotten like a cool, like one of those super breathable seats. That'd be pretty neat, but I also had no money back in those days. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Yeah, all of that is well and good, but as an adult, I'm grossly out of shape, and I'm working my way back into shape, if not the shape, but at least the conditioning. So maybe I'm a little doughy, but I can still be as go-y as I need to be. And I gotta say, I did a little bit of practical experimentation, and yeah, I've got a little bit more heavy breathing time before I have to, hunch over and wheeze for a while than I used to have before I got back into working out. And what do? What's my secret? I think I've told you before. I mow lawns, and I wish that adult dad bod me could have a sit down with young and dumb me, and by young and dumb I'm talking 21 to 25. So, don't think that you're not gonna grow more, 'cause trust me, there's a whole lot of learning to do after you're 18. And that's a great thing, because you don't have to feel like you have everything together. You don't feel like you have to have anything together until you're like, 34, 35. Hey, am I 33? Yeah, let's push that number back a little bit. I don't want to feel like I've missed out on something. But anyway, we are missing out on some of the commentary here, as is usual. But Bobo, thanks for sending this one in. Always nice to see some derping going on. And maybe just a tad more depression on the gun there. Papa Stalin's very proud of you for giving the old crew cut to that Jagdpanzer. But maybe a point down on the on the elevation. So yeah, I've found that if I had been mowing lawns as much as I'd been living in the gym, I would have been in just as good of shape, and I'd be making about $100 to $200 a day, which is about how much I was making maybe every 2 weeks doing whatever the hell it was I was doing to get by back in those days. And it even would have been more than I was making working my ass off as a cook and getting paid a tad above minimum wage, except when my boss was just pretending that those hours didn't count. Because that happens sometimes too. But you know what? Overall, it was a great experience, and I got through it. I could have done better if I'd worked for myself, and I could have worked for myself if I'd started mowing lawns earlier. But at least that's enriching me now, and it's getting me out of the house. It's getting me off my butt to go work out with that good cardio, upper body, lower body, full body workout that you get using those manual tools. I also like the fact that I'm not constantly throwing junk into my face, eyes, lungs, and nearby car windows with the somewhat ridiculous power tools that we use to cut grass these days. Powerful tools, burning dinosaurs, which is pretty badass, and at the same time creating some collateral damage. Yeah, sure, manual might not be quite so, how do I put it, uniform in the cuts, at least until I get really good at what I'm doing. But you know what it does? It gets me in shape. And if you're not mowing a whole lot of lawns, you know what? I think it's the way to go. Even if people look at you weird for using a sickle to cut grass, or even a grass whip. I've got a pretty awesome grass whip coming in the mail. It's going to take a while. How long? Well, probably just a tad bit longer than the reload rate on the IS-2. But it sure does feel nice to kill something with every shot. And that's exactly, more or less, what BoronBoride has been doing here, picking up his 9th kill in Papa Stalin's own son, IS-2, doing Iosef proud and finishing the match strong. Here we see this arcade battle is starting to wind down, and yet BoronBoride is still on the warpath. Again, fairly simple strategy for the IS-2 in any event, and even assisted in arcade by the mechanics that you find here, and it looked like he might have actually bounced the shot from that M36. 10 kills, 1 life, not bad. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.